6 months had passed since the barriers went up around human space. Commander Ryan Davis stood in the command center of their secret base, built inside a hollow asteroid in the Kepler sector. The base was hidden and safe, but Ryan knew it wouldn't stay that way forever. Captain Jake Morrison walked into the room, carrying a datapad full of bad news. "The Council's propaganda is working," Jake said. 3 more species have joined their anti-human alliance this week." Ryan looked at the star map on the wall. Red dots marked places where humans were no longer welcome. The red dots were spreading like a disease across the galaxy. "How many ships do we have left?" Ryan asked. 31, Jake replied. "We lost 2 more last week. The Vorthan patrol caught them near the Rim worlds." Dr. Monica Stevens looked up from her computer. She had been working for hours without sleep. "It's getting worse," she said. "The Council isn't just hunting our ships anymore. They're making every species afraid of us." Monica had been monitoring communications across the galaxy. What she found made everyone angry and scared. "They're calling us a plague," Monica continued. "The Council is telling everyone that humans are a disease that will destroy all life in the galaxy. They say we're too violent and too smart to be allowed to live." Jake sat down heavily. "What about species that used to be our friends?" "Gone," Monica said sadly. "The Altarians won't even answer our messages. The Centauri have banned all human contact. Even the Arcturians who used to trade with us are staying away." Meanwhile, on Earth, things were very different. General Peter Collins stood in the war room deep under the Pentagon watching screens that showed humanity's greatest project ever. "How long until the first ships are ready?" he asked engineer Claire Adams. Claire was young but brilliant. She had designed Earth's new faster-than-light drive system. 3 more months, General. The first prototype ships will be ready for testing. And they can get past the barriers?" "Yes, sir," Claire said with confidence. "Our quantum tunnel drive doesn't use the same physics as normal space travel. The barriers won't even know we're there." General Collins smiled for the first time in months. "Good. What about weapons?" Dr. Alan Brooks answered from across the room. "The isolation has been a blessing in disguise. Without Council technology, we had to invent everything ourselves. Our new weapons are 50 years ahead of anything in the galaxy." President Nancy Hughes entered the room. She looked tired but determined. "How many ships can we build?" "With all our shipyards working at full speed, we can have 1,000 ships. Ready within 2 years," Claire replied. "Make it 1,500, the president said, "and make sure they're the best ships anyone has ever seen." Back in space, Jake's fleet faced a new crisis. They had found a good hiding place on an empty planet in the Zeta system, but alien patrol ships were getting closer every day. Captain Susan Clark contacted Jake from her ship. "We have a problem. Zephyrian scouts have been seen in this sector. They're looking for us." Jake remembered when the Zephyrians had been neutral in the conflict. Now they were hunting humans like everyone else. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. "Maybe a day, maybe less," Susan replied. Jake made a quick decision. "Pack everything. We leave in 6 hours." The human ships worked fast to break down their temporary base. They took all the supplies and equipment they could carry. Everything else had to be left behind. As they were preparing to leave, Dr. Stevens made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying old council records that she found in an abandoned research station. "Jake, you need to see this," Monica called out. Her voice was excited and scared at the same time. Jake rushed to her station. "What is it?" "I found records about other species that the council quarantined," Monica said. "Humans aren't the first." She showed him files that were thousands of years old. The precursors, the void builders, the crystal mines, all advanced species that were quarantined by the council, and Jake, none of them survived. Jake felt cold inside. What happened to them? The records are incomplete, but it looks like the council waited until they thought the quarantined species were weak. Then they sent fleets to destroy them completely. How long did they wait? Monica checked her data. Usually about 10 years, long enough for the isolated species to use up their resources and lose hope. Jake understood immediately. They're not trying to contain us. They're trying to kill us slowly. Before Jake could think about this more, alarms started ringing throughout. The fleet. Lisa Parker's voice came over the communication system. Enemy ships detected. Zephyrian battle cruisers, 12 of them, coming in fast. Jake ran to the bridge of his ship. Through the main window, he could see alien ships approaching. The Zephyrians had found them. All ships, prepare for combat, Jake ordered. We can't run with all our supplies loaded. The battle was short but fierce. Human ships were faster and had better weapons, but the Zephyrians had more ships. Jake's fleet managed to destroy 6 enemy ships, but 3 human vessels were badly damaged. We need to get out of here, Commander Davis said. More enemy ships are coming. Jake's fleet jumped to hyperspace just as reinforcements arrived. They had escaped, but barely. Hours later, when they were safe, Jake called a meeting of all ship captains. We can't keep doing this, he told them. Every time we stop somewhere, they find us. Every time we fight, we lose ships we can't replace. Captain Clark spoke first. What choice do we have? We can't go home. Maybe we can, said Commander Davis. Dr. Stevens' research shows that the Council has done this before. Maybe we can find out how they did it. Maybe we can find the machines that power the barriers. Jake liked this idea. That would take time and resources we don't have. Dr. Stevens had been quiet during the meeting, but now she spoke up. There might be another way. What if we could find allies, other species that don't like the Council? Who would help us? Asked Captain Clark. Everyone is afraid of humans now. Not everyone, Monica replied. I've been monitoring communications. Some species are asking questions about the Council's story. They think something doesn't make sense. Jake was interested. Which species? The Nomari, mostly. They're traders who travel all over the galaxy. They see everything and hear everything. Some of their messages suggest they don't believe the Council's propaganda. The Nomari are neutral, Davis pointed out. They don't take sides in wars. Maybe, Monica said, but they also don't like it when trade routes are disrupted. The human quarantine has hurt their business badly. Jake made a decision. We split the fleet. Half of our ships keep moving and stay hidden. The other half try to make contact with potential allies. That's dangerous, Susan warned. If the allies turn out to be enemies, we could lose half our people. If we do nothing, we'll lose everyone eventually, Jake replied. Monica is right. The Council's plan is to wait until we're weak, then finish us off. We need help. The next day, Jake's fleet divided. 15 ships continued hiding and moving through empty space. 16 ships, led by Jake himself, headed toward areas where Nomari traders were known to operate. The first few attempts to contact Nomari ships failed. The traders saw human vessels approaching and ran away as fast as they could. Jake's people tried sending messages explaining that they wanted to talk, not fight, but no one listened. Finally, Commander Davis had an idea. What if we don't approach them directly? What if we leave messages at places where they stop? Jake liked this plan. They found a trading station that Nomari ships visited regularly. The station was abandoned because of the war, but traders still used it to leave messages for each other. Jake's people left a simple message. Humans want to talk. We have information about the Council that traders should know. Meet us at the old mining station in the Rigel system if you want to hear the truth. 3 days later, a single Nomari ship arrived at the meeting place. Jake went to meet them with only a small crew to show that humans weren't planning to attack. The Nomari captain was named Zara. She was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. She looked nervous, but curious. Why should we trust you? Zara asked. The Council says humans are killers. Because, Jake replied, you're smart enough to know that the Council lies when it helps them. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then, she said, The quarantine has hurt our trade badly. Many routes are closed now. Many species are afraid to buy anything that might have touched human space. The Council doesn't care about your business, Jake said. They only care about power, and they're using fear to get more of it. Jake showed Zara the evidence that Dr. Stevens had found. Records of other species that had been quarantined and destroyed. Evidence that the Council had lied about threats before. This is old information, Zara said, but Jake could see she was thinking hard about it. It's a pattern, Jake replied. The Council finds a species that might become more powerful than them. They convince everyone that species is dangerous. Then they destroy that species and take their technology. Zara studied the data for an hour. Finally, she looked up at Jake. What do you want from us? Information, Jake said. We need to know what's really happening in the galaxy. We need to know which species might be willing to listen to the truth. And in return, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, watching the stars through the main window. The ship was big and strong, one of Earth's best warships. Jake had been in space for 20 years, and he loved his job. Today felt like any other day until Lieutenant Commander Lisa Parker ran to his side. Captain, we have an emergency message from Earth, Lisa said. Her face was white with worry. It's from Admiral Kate Sullivan herself. Jake turned to face her. Put it through. To my ready room. Full security. The two officers walked quickly to the small room behind the bridge. Jake sat down and pressed a button. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and angry. Jake, I need you to hear this carefully, the Admiral said. The Galactic Council has given us 1 day to make a choice. They want us to give up all our AI technology. They also want us to let them change how our military works. They say we are too dangerous to have these things. Jake felt his heart beat faster. What did you tell them? I told them no, Sullivan said firmly. Humans don't bow down to threats, but Jake, this is bad. Really bad. The Council has never done anything like this before. They're scared of us. Lisa leaned forward. Why now? We've been part of the Council for almost 100 years. That's just it, Sullivan replied. In 100 years, we've learned things that took other races thousands of years to learn. We build better ships, better weapons, better everything. The Council members are old and slow. They can't keep up with us. Jake knew this was true. Human engineers were the best in the galaxy. Human soldiers were brave and smart. Human scientists made new discoveries every month. The other races had. Stop trying to compete with Earth. There's more, Sullivan continued. Dr. Alan Brooks has been studying the Council's history. He found something important. The Council has done this before to other races. They make them weak, then they control them forever. The message continued for 10 more minutes. Sullivan explained that Earth was ready to fight if needed. All human colonies were being warned. Military ships were moving to protect positions. When the message ended, Jake felt sick. War with the Galactic Council would be terrible. Earth was strong, but the Council had thousands of worlds and billions of soldiers. Captain, Lisa said quietly. What do we do? We wait, Jake replied, and we get ready. The next 24 hours passed slowly. Jake's ship was far from Earth, patrolling near the edge of human space. Other ships sent messages back and forth. Everyone was nervous. Then it happened. Dr. Monica Stevens, the ship's science officer, called from her station. Captain, I'm reading something strange. There's some kind of energy field forming around the solar system. Jake ran to the bridge. Show me. The main screen changed to show Earth's solar system. A bright blue wall was growing around it like a bubble. The wall was huge, bigger than anything Jake had ever seen. It's the same around all human colonies, Monica reported. Every human world is being surrounded by these barriers. Lisa checked her communications panel. I can't reach Earth anymore. The barriers are blocking all signals from getting in. Jake tried to stay calm, but his hands were shaking. Can we get through them? I don't think so, Monica said. These barriers are made of pure energy. They would destroy any ship that tried to pass through them. More reports came in from other human ships. The same thing was happening everywhere. Every human world was trapped behind energy walls. Ships outside the barriers couldn't get home. Ships inside couldn't get out. An hour later, the Galactic Council sent a message to every ship in space. The alien who spoke had 6 arms and blue skin. Jake had seen him before at council meetings. "Attention all beings," the alien said. "The species known as humans have been quarantined for the safety of the galaxy. They are too dangerous to be allowed freedom. This quarantine will continue until they learn to be peaceful. Any attempt to help humans will be punished." Jake turned off the message. He looked around the bridge. His crew was staring at him, waiting for orders. "How many human ships are out here with us?" he asked Lisa. "Checking now," she replied. After a few minutes, she said, 43 ships, Captain. About 2,000 people total." "And we can't go home," Monica added sadly. Jake thought about his wife and children on Earth. He wondered if he would ever see them again. But he was a soldier, and soldiers don't give up. "Listen to me," he told his crew. "This isn't over. The Council thinks they've won, but they don't know humans very well. We don't quit when things get hard. We get stronger." Over the next few days, Jake contacted other human ship captains. They formed a small fleet and found a safe place to meet. The place was an empty space between stars where no one would look. For them, Commander Ryan Davis from the UES Independence became Jake's second in command. Ryan was young but smart. He had ideas about how to fight back. "The barriers only work one way," Ryan explained to the group of captains. "We can't get in, but signals and ships can come out. That means Earth is still working on something." Dr. Stevens had been studying the barriers. "These things use more power than entire star systems," she said. "The Council must have built huge machines to run them. If we could find those machines, we could turn them off," Jake finished. "But first we need to survive. The Council will be hunting for us." Jake was right. Within a week, alien patrol ships started looking for humans in space. Any human ship they found was destroyed. The Council wasn't taking prisoners. Jake's fleet had to hide and move carefully. They found old asteroid fields and empty planets to use as temporary bases. Food and fuel became problems. Without access to human space stations, they had to find other ways to get supplies. Some alien traders were willing to help, but they wanted high prices. Jake's people traded weapons and technology for food and fuel. It wasn't enough, but it kept them alive. The worst part was not knowing what was happening on Earth. Were his family and friends safe? Was Earth fighting back? Jake had no way to find out. 1 month after the quarantine began, Jake made a decision. He called all the ship captains together for a meeting. "We can't keep running forever," he told them. "We need to learn more about what the Council is really doing. We need to find allies, and we need to find a way to help Earth." Captain Susan Clark from the UES Defender spoke up. "How do we do that? We're just 43 ships against the entire galaxy." "We start small," Jake replied. "We gather information. We make friends with aliens who don't like the Council. We show the galaxy that humans aren't monsters." "And if that doesn't work?" asked Commander Davis. Jake looked out at the stars. "Then we remind the galaxy why they were scared of us in the first place." The meeting ended with a plan. Jake's fleet would split up into small groups. Each group would go to different parts of the galaxy. They would spy on the Council, make contact with friendly aliens, and look for ways to fight back. As Jake's ship prepared to leave their meeting place, Lisa came to him with news. "Captain, I've been listening to Council communications. They're telling every species that humans are planning to destroy the galaxy. They say we're building secret weapons and planning to attack everyone." Jake wasn't surprised. "They're scared, so they're making everyone else scared too. It's an old trick." "Do you think it's working?" Lisa asked. Jake watched his fleet spread out across space. Each ship was heading into unknown danger. Each crew was leaving their families behind to fight for humanity's future. Maybe, he said. But fear works both ways. The Council is about to learn something important about humans. When you corner us, we don't curl up and die. We bite back. Jake smiled. When this is over, humans will remember who helped us and who didn't. The Council has forgotten that traders need safe routes and honest customers. We haven't. 2 years had passed since the quarantine began. Captain Jake Morrison's fleet had grown from a desperate group of refugees into something much more dangerous. They now operated from 12 hidden bases across 4 sectors of space. Each base was small and well hidden, but together they formed a network that stretched across the galaxy. Jake stood in the main control room of Base 7, built inside an old asteroid mining facility. Commander Ryan Davis walked up to him with a report. "The Nomari have delivered another shipment of supplies," Ryan said. "Captain Zara says her people are ready to take the next step." "Which is?" Jake asked. "Broadcasting our evidence on the major trade channels. Every merchant ship in the galaxy would see it." Jake nodded. This was what they had been working toward. In 2 years, they had gathered proof that the Galactic Council had lied about dozens of species. They had found records of entire civilizations that had been destroyed because they became too advanced. Dr. Monica Stevens entered the room looking excited. "Jake, we just received a message from Dr. Helen Foster. You need to hear this." Dr. Foster had been studying ancient ruins on a dead world when the quarantine began. She had been trapped outside the barriers like everyone else, but she had made the best of her situation. Jake activated the communication system. Dr. Foster's face appeared on the screen. She looked older and tired, but her eyes were bright with discovery. "Jake, I found something incredible," she said. "This world I'm on, it's not just any dead planet. It was the home world of the precursors. The precursors were the species that Dr. Stevens had found records about. They had been quarantined by the Council 5,000 years ago." "What did you find?" Jake asked. "Everything," Helen replied. "Libraries, research centers, military bases. Most of it is damaged, but some files survived. Jake, the precursors were just like us. They advanced too fast, and the Council got scared." Helen's discovery was more important than anyone realized. She had found detailed records of how the Council operated. They didn't just quarantine dangerous species, they studied them while they were trapped, learning all their secrets before destroying them. "The Council has been stealing technology for thousands of years," Helen continued. "Every time they quarantine a species, they copy their knowledge. That's how they stay in power." Jake felt anger building inside him. "What happened to the precursors?" "The Council waited until they thought the precursors were weak from isolation. Then they sent a massive fleet to destroy them. But the precursors were ready. The final battle lasted for months and destroyed dozens of star systems." "Who won?" Ryan asked. Helen's face grew dark. "Nobody. The Council destroyed the precursors, but the cost was so high that it took them centuries to recover. That's why they've been more careful since then." Jake understood immediately. "They're planning to do the same thing to us, but they want to make sure they don't lose as much as they did before." "Exactly. But Jake, the precursors left us something. They knew this might happen again someday. They built secret facilities and hid advanced technology. If we can find these places, we might have a chance," Jake finished. The conversation with Dr. Foster changed everything. Jake's fleet began searching for precursor ruins throughout the galaxy. It was dangerous work because many of these sites were in Council space, but the information they found was worth the risk. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity's isolation had produced amazing results. Admiral Lisa Parker stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. The ship was unlike anything that had ever been built. "Begin final systems test," Lisa ordered. Engineer Claire Adams worked at her control station. "Quantum tunnel drive is online. Stealth systems are active. All weapons systems are ready. The Liberty was invisible to normal sensors. It could travel through space without using regular hyperspace lanes. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. Most importantly, it could pass through the Council's barriers without being detected. "Take us out," Lisa commanded. The Liberty left Earth's solar system for the first time. The energy barriers that had trapped humanity for 2 years didn't even notice the ship passing through them. President Nancy Hughes had approved this mission personally. Earth needed to know what was happening in the galaxy. They also needed to contact their people who were trapped outside the barriers. Lisa's ship spent 3 weeks moving carefully through space, avoiding patrol ships and monitoring Council communications. What they found was disturbing. "The Council is preparing for something big," reported Intelligence Officer Bobby Carter. "They're moving fleets toward the Outer Rim. They're also building new weapons platforms." "Weapons designed for what?" Lisa asked. "Based on their communications, they're designed to crack energy barriers and destroy everything inside them." Lisa realized that the Council was almost ready to move to the final phase of their plan. They would break down the barriers around human space and send their fleets to destroy Earth and all its colonies. But Earth was ready for them. General Peter Collins had spent 2 years turning Earth into a fortress. Every human world now had defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets. The new quantum tunnel ships could appear anywhere without warning. Most importantly, humanity had developed weapons that could turn the Council's own technology against them. "How much time do we have?" President Hughes asked during an emergency meeting. "Based on their construction schedule, maybe 6 months," Lisa replied. "They're trying to build enough firepower to be sure they can destroy us completely." Then, "We need to move first," the president decided. "Contact our people outside the barriers. It's time to coordinate our response." Lisa's ship found Jake's fleet 3 weeks later. The reunion was emotional but brief. There was too much work to do. "Earth is ready," Lisa told Jake. "We have ships, weapons, and a plan. But we need intelligence about Council fleet positions." "We can provide that," Jake replied. "Our network covers half the galaxy now. We know where their major fleets are stationed." "What about allies?" Lisa asked. Commander Davis answered. "More species are starting to question the Council's story. The Nomari have been spreading our evidence through the trade networks. Some governments are beginning to have doubts," Dr. Stevens added. "We've also been in contact with resistance groups on several Council worlds. Not everyone likes living under their rule." Lisa was impressed. "You've built quite an organization out." "Here. We had to," Jake said. "It was either fight back or die slowly." The meeting between Earth's forces and Jake's fleet lasted for days. They shared intelligence, coordinated plans, and prepared for the coming war. But they also faced a difficult choice. "We could strike first," General Collins suggested via secure communication. "Take out their main fleets before they're ready to attack us." "That would make us look like the aggressors," President Hughes replied. "It would justify everything they've said about us." "They're going to attack us anyway," Jake pointed out. "At least this way we'd have the advantage of surprise." Dr. Foster, who had joined the meeting from her research site, had a different idea. "What if we expose the truth first? Show the galaxy what the Council has really been doing for thousands of years?" "Will anyone listen?" Lisa asked. "They might, if the evidence comes from enough sources at once," Captain Zara said. The Nomari trader had become humanity's most important ally. "My people have contacts throughout the galaxy. We could arrange for the information to appear everywhere at the same time." Jake liked this plan. "The Council's power comes from fear and ignorance. If we take those away, their coalition might fall apart," Ryan finished. President Hughes made the decision. "We'll try the truth first, but we'll be ready to fight if that doesn't work." The next month was spent preparing for the largest information campaign in galactic history. Human agents, Nomari traders, and sympathetic aliens worked together to place evidence on every major communication network in the galaxy. Dr. Foster's archaeological discoveries were particularly important. She had found records showing that the current Council species weren't even the original leaders of galactic civilization. They were just the descendants of a coalition that had destroyed the true galactic government eons ago. "They're not protectors," Helen explained in one of the messages that would be broadcast. "They're conquerors who have been lying about their history for thousands of years." When everything was ready, Jake gave the signal. Simultaneously, on 10,000 worlds, the truth about the Galactic Council was revealed. Ancient records, intercepted, communications, testimony from survivors, all of it appeared at once on every major information network. The reaction was immediate and massive. Some species called the evidence fake. Others began demanding answers from their council representatives. A few governments announced they were withdrawing from the anti-human coalition, but the council's response was swift and brutal. They declared martial law on dozens of worlds. They arrested anyone who spread the human propaganda. They announced that the final solution to the human problem would begin immediately. "So much for the truth setting us free," Jake said grimly as he watched. Council fleets begin moving toward human space. It did set some species. The crystal flared with brilliant light. Ancient machinery throughout the chamber came to L5 years after the quarantine began. The galaxy held its breath. Admiral Lisa Parker stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty as it emerged from quantum space at the edge of Council territory. The ship's appearance caused immediate panic among the alien patrol vessels. "This is Admiral Parker of the Earth Defense Force," she broadcast on all frequencies. "I request immediate safe passage to the Galactic Council chambers." The Council. Patrol ships tried to scan her vessel, but found nothing. To their sensors, the Liberty barely existed. Their weapons couldn't lock onto it. Their computers couldn't understand its technology. "Human vessel, you are in violation of the quarantine," came the reply from the lead council ship. "Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Lisa smiled coldly. "I think you misunderstand the situation. The quarantine is over." She gave a signal to her tactical officer. Across the galaxy, at predetermined coordinates, human ships began appearing. From quantum space. Not dozens of ships, but thousands. Each one was invisible to Council sensors until it chose to be seen. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Council defense networks went into panic mode as human ships appeared in systems that were supposed to be completely secure, but the human vessels didn't attack. They just sat there, waiting. "This is Admiral Lisa Parker to the Galactic Council," she broadcast again. "We have a message for you." Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison's fleet had grown to over 200 ships. They had spent 5 years building alliances, gathering intelligence, and preparing for this moment. Now they moved through space toward the Council's home system, accompanied by ships from 20 different species who had turned against their former government. "Status report," Jake asked Commander Ryan Davis. "All human fleets are in position," Ryan replied. "Our allies are moving to their assigned coordinates. The Council's response fleets are scrambling, but they're confused and disorganized." Dr. Monica Stevens looked up from her sensor station. "The Council is trying to activate their reality anchors, but something's wrong. The devices aren't working properly." Jake wasn't surprised. Dr. Helen Foster had spent 2 years studying precursor technology, and she had found ways to interfere with Council weapon systems. The reality anchors that were supposed to trap human ships were now useless. "Open a channel to all Council worlds," Jake ordered. "It's time they heard the truth directly from us." His message was broadcast to every inhabited planet in Council. Space. "This is Captain Jake Morrison speaking for the human species and our allies. 5 years ago, you tried to destroy us because you were afraid. Today, you're going to learn what real fear looks like." On Earth, President Nancy Hughes watched the operation unfold from the command center deep beneath the planet's surface. General Peter Collins stood beside her, monitoring reports from across the galaxy. Phase 1 is complete, the general reported. All human fleets are in position. The Council's military response has been neutralized. Casualties? The President asked. None on our side. The Council hasn't even tried to engage us yet. They're too shocked by our capabilities. President Hughes nodded. This was exactly what they had planned. The goal wasn't to start a war. It was to end one before it could begin. Engineer Claire Adams entered the command center with a final report. The quantum tunnel network is stable. We can deploy the entire Earth Defense Force anywhere in the galaxy within minutes. How many ships do we have ready? Hughes asked. 15,000 warships, ma'am, all equipped with technology that's at least 50 years ahead of anything the Council has. The President took a deep breath. Begin Phase 2. Across the galaxy, human ships began broadcasting the complete truth about the Galactic Council's history. Not just the recent revelations about destroyed civilizations, but detailed evidence of how the Council had maintained power through fear, lies, and genocide for thousands of years. The broadcasts included testimony from survivors of destroyed worlds, recordings of Council leaders planning atrocities, and proof that the current Council species had murdered their way to the top of galactic civilization. But most damaging of all were the recordings that Dr. Foster had found in the deepest precursor ruins. Ancient messages from the original galactic government describing how the Council's ancestors had been nothing more than barbarian raiders until they stole advanced technology and used it to conquer peaceful civilizations. The effect on the galaxy was immediate and devastating. Species that had supported the Council for centuries turned against them. Military commanders refused orders. Entire star systems declared independence. Within hours, the anti-human coalition had collapsed completely. Most species now wanted nothing to do with the Council, and many actively requested human protection. Admiral Parker's ship arrived at the Council's homeworld just as their government was falling apart. The massive space station that had been the center of galactic power for millennia was in chaos. Council leader HFY, this is Admiral Parker, she broadcast to the station. I'm here to discuss terms. The alien leader appeared on her communication screen. He was old and frightened, his 6 arms shaking with rage and terror. You have destroyed everything, he said in his translated voice. Thousands of years of order and peace. You mean thousands of years of oppression and murder, Lisa replied calmly. But we're not here to gloat. We're here to offer you a choice. Jake Morrison's fleet arrived at the Council home system just as Lisa was beginning negotiations. His ships took defensive positions around the planet while he coordinated with other human commanders. What's the situation? He asked Lisa over their secure channel. They're beaten and they know it, she replied. Most of their fleet has either surrendered or run away. The ones that are left don't know what to do. Any sign of the Council leadership trying to escape? A few ships tried to leave the system, but our quantum interdiction field is keeping them here. Nobody gets away until we're finished with them. The negotiations lasted for 6 hours. The Council leadership tried to bargain, threaten, and plead, but they had no leverage left. Their military was gone, their allies had abandoned them, and the entire galaxy now knew the truth about their crimes. Finally, President Hughes herself appeared on the communication screen to deliver humanity's terms. The Galactic Council is disbanded immediately, she announced. All Council species will withdraw to their home systems pending individual negotiations with Earth and our allies. You cannot simply take control of the galaxy, HFY protested. We're not taking control, Hughes replied. We're setting it free. Each species will govern itself. Each world will make its own choices. The age of galactic empires is over. And what of us? Asked another Council leader, a slug-like creature with multiple eyes. President Hughes was quiet for a moment. You have committed genocide against hundreds of species over thousands of years. Justice demands that you pay for those crimes. You would destroy us as we tried to destroy you? No, Hughes said firmly. We're not you. Your people will be relocated to a single star system under human supervision. You'll live simple lives without advanced technology. Your children will learn the truth about what you did, and hopefully they'll be better than you were. The final council leader, an insect-like being called Vorthak, made one last desperate threat. If you do this, other species will eventually turn against you. Power corrupts all beings. You will become what we were. Jake Morrison answered this time. Maybe. But if that happens, I hope someone will be brave enough to stop us the way we stopped you. The formal surrender took place on the Council's home world. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy attended, including many that had been oppressed by Council rule for centuries. Dr. Helen Foster, who had spent 5 years uncovering the truth about galactic history, was chosen to read the list of Council crimes to the assembled representatives. The list took 3 hours to complete. When she finished, there wasn't a sound in the vast assembly hall. The scope of the Council's atrocities was so large that most beings couldn't fully comprehend it. Captain Susan Clark, who had led one of the teams that activated the precursor warnings, spoke for the human military. Today, the galaxy learns that tyrants can be defeated. Today, the galaxy learns that truth is more powerful than fear. Today, the galaxy learns that freedom is possible. But it was Captain Zara, the Nomari trader who had been humanity's first ally, who said what everyone was thinking. Today, the galaxy learns why it should never make humans angry. The aftermath of the Council's fall took years to sort out. New governments formed on liberated worlds. Trade networks had to be rebuilt. Refugees from destroyed civilizations were resettled on new planets. Earth established the Galactic Freedom Commission to help coordinate these efforts, but humans were careful not to become the new rulers of the galaxy. They had learned from the Council's mistakes. Jake Morrison was offered the position of Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, but he turned it down. "I'm a ship captain, not a politician," he said. "My job was to get us home safely. Mission accomplished." Admiral Parker accepted the role of Earth's chief ambassador to the new galactic community. Her first official act was to establish the Galactic Archive, a massive database containing the complete history of Co. 3 years after the quarantine began, the galaxy was changing. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center of his newest base, built inside a captured Council research station. The irony wasn't lost on him. They were now using the enemy's own facilities against them. Commander Ryan Davis rushed into the room with urgent news. "Jake, we just intercepted Council communications. They're accelerating their timeline. The attack on Earth begins in 2 months, not 6. Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Why the change?" "Our information campaign worked too well," Ryan replied. 17 species have officially withdrawn from the anti-human coalition. The Council is worried that more will follow if they wait longer. Dr. Monica Stevens looked up from her computer station. "It gets worse. Intelligence reports show they've been secretly building a new type of weapon, something called a reality anchor." "What does it do?" Jake asked. Monica's face was pale. "According to the stolen plans, it prevents faster-than-light travel in a huge area of space. They're planning to use it around Earth's solar system to trap our new ships." Jake realized the Council had been learning from their mistakes. They knew humanity had developed new technology during the quarantine. The reality anchor would neutralize Earth's advanced ships and force a conventional battle. "Have you told Earth about this?" Jake asked. "Trying to, but communications are getting harder," Monica replied. "The Council is jamming more frequencies every day." Jake made a quick decision. "Get me a direct line to Admiral Parker. Use the quantum communication. Array if you have to." While Monica worked on contacting Earth, Jake received another visitor. Dr. Helen Foster materialized on the holographic projector, calling from her research site among the precursor ruins. "Jake, I have good news and bad news," Helen said. "The good news is that I've found more precursor technology, weapons that could tip the balance in our favor. And the bad news? The weapons are scattered across 12 different sites, all in heavily guarded council space. Getting to them would require a massive military operation. Jake studied the star map Helen transmitted. The precursor sites formed a rough circle around the galactic core. Each one was near a major council military base. It would be suicide, Ryan said after looking at the map. We don't have enough ships to hit even one of those sites. Maybe we don't need to hit them all, Jake replied thoughtfully. Helen, could we activate these weapons remotely if we could get teams to just a few sites? Theoretically, yes. The precursors built their systems to work together. If we could activate 3 or 4 sites, the network effect might wake up the others. Jake was forming a plan when Monica finally established contact with Earth. Admiral Lisa Parker's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exhausted but determined. Jake, thank God you got through, Lisa said. We've been trying to reach you for weeks. What's the situation on Earth? Jake asked. We're ready for war, but this reality anchor changes everything. Our quantum tunnel ships might not work in the affected area. How are you dealing with it? Lisa smiled grimly. President Hughes has authorized something called Project Olympus. I can't give you details over this channel, but let's just say humanity has more surprises than the Council knows about. Jake felt a spark of hope. What do you need from us? Intelligence on Council fleet movements, and any allies you can bring to the fight. How many species are actually on our side now? Commander Davis answered. Openly? About 20 species have withdrawn from the coalition. But we have underground contacts with resistance groups on at least 50 Council worlds. That's not enough, Lisa said. The Council still has over 1,000 species supporting them. Dr. Foster spoke up from her holographic projection. There might be another way. What if we could prove to the galaxy that the Council has been lying about everything? Not just about humans, but about their entire history? We already tried that, Jake pointed out. It helped, but not enough. But we only showed them recent evidence, Helen replied. What if we could show them the original lies, the ones from thousands of years ago? Jake was intrigued. What do you mean? Helen's image flickered as she adjusted her transmission. The precursors weren't the first species the Council destroyed. They were just the most recent. I've found evidence of dozens of advanced civilizations that were wiped out over the millennia. Evidence that could be verified? Lisa asked. Better than that. Some of these civilizations left time-locked messages, recordings that would only activate when certain conditions were met. The Council never found them because they didn't know to look for them. Jake felt excitement building. What would it take to activate these messages? We'd need to reach several precursor sites and input specific activation codes. The messages would then broadcast automatically on frequencies that every species in the galaxy monitors. Lisa leaned forward. How long would that take? If we could get teams to just 4 sites, maybe a week to activate everything. That's cutting it close, Jake said. The Council attack begins in 2 months. Then we'd better move fast, Lisa replied. Jake, I'm sending you coordinates for a rendezvous. Earth is deploying some of our new ships to help with this mission. The connection ended, and Jake immediately began planning the most dangerous operation his people had ever attempted. They would need to infiltrate 4 heavily defended Council bases, activate ancient alien technology, and escape before massive enemy fleets could respond. Captain Susan Clark volunteered to lead one of the infiltration teams. My ship is fast and my crew is good at sneaking around, she said. We can handle the site in the Vega sector. Commander Davis took responsibility for the second site. Dr. Stevens would accompany him to handle the technical aspects of activating the precursor systems. Jake would personally lead the attack on the most heavily defended site near the Council's military headquarters. This base housed not just normal defenses, but also the prototype reality anchor weapon. If we can destroy that prototype, Jake explained to his team, it might delay their whole plan. The 4th site posed a special challenge. It was located in the home system of the Zephyrians, humanity's former allies who had turned against Them. Captain Zara, the Nomari trader who had become their most trusted ally, volunteered for this mission. "My people have trading rights in Zephyrian space," she explained. "We can get closer than human ships." 2 weeks later, the 4 teams were in position. Jake's ship, the UES Horizon, hung in space near the edge of the Galactic Council's most secret military base. Through his ship's sensors, he could see the massive station that housed the reality anchor prototype. "Remember, we only get one shot at this," Jake told his crew over the intercom. "Once we start, every council ship in the sector will come after us." Lieutenant Commander Lisa Parker, who had been promoted from her position on Jake's original crew, was now his tactical officer. "All systems ready, Captain. Stealth fields are active." The plan was simple in concept, but difficult in execution. Jake's ship would use its stealth capabilities to get close to the station. A small team would board the facility and plant charges on the reality anchor while also accessing the precursor activation system hidden beneath the base. "Beginning approach," reported the pilot, Lieutenant Bobby Carter. "Council patrols are following their normal patterns." Jake watched the tactical display as they moved closer to the station. It was massive, easily 10 kilometers long and bristling, with weapons. But like all Council technology, it was old and predictable. Human stealth systems were decades ahead of Council detection methods. "We're in position," Bobby announced. "Docking Bay 7 looks clear." Jake and 5 other crew members prepared to board the station. They wore Council uniforms that had been carefully forged by their intelligence people. The plan was to blend in until they reached their objectives. "Good luck, Captain," Lisa said as Jake headed for the airlock. "If something goes wrong, don't." "Wait for us," Jake replied. "Get out and complete the mission." The infiltration went smoothly at first. Council stations were poorly guarded from the inside because the aliens had never faced internal threats before. Jake's team moved through the corridors without being challenged. They found the reality anchor in the station's core, surrounded by scientists who were running final tests. Jake waited until the area was clear during a shift change, then led his team inside. "Plant the charges here, here, and here," he whispered to his demolitions expert. "We need this thing completely destroyed." While his team worked on the reality anchor, Jake searched for the precursor system. According to Dr. Foster's research, it should be hidden in the station's lower levels. He found it behind a sealed door marked with warnings in several languages. The precursor chamber was dark and filled with strange technology that hummed with ancient power. Jake activated his communication device. "Helen, I'm at the site. What do I do now?" Dr. Foster's voice crackled through the encrypted channel. "You should see a crystalline structure in the center of the room. Place your hand on it and speak the activation phrase I taught you." Jake approached the crystal. It was beautiful, pulsing with soft light. When he touched it, he felt a strange sensation, as if the device was scanning his mind. "By the memory of those who came before, let truth be known across the stars," he said in the ancient language Helen had taught him.